In this, the ninth month of 2020, we find ourselves living in a world that is different than it was at the beginning of the year. So what has changed? What has changed can be summarized in one word. That word, pandemic. Many people hear the word pandemic and they think of the coronavirus. But I find a word that speaks to a disease that is spread throughout the world to be an appropriate descriptor of what has become a plague within our society. The pandemic that I speak of covers more than the disease of COVID-19. It also covers the pandemic of hate, racism, and violence. It is also a pandemic that has revealed how we as a people will be heavily invested in self-interest versus actions that will serve the people of the world. Any self-interest ignores that we are called to share our riches with others. Our scriptures on this day present very specific and perhaps difficult factors that we must take into consideration. In 1 Corinthians, we hear the words, "Knowledge inflates with pride, but love builds up." These words tell us that what we do is not as much about building up a warehouse of knowledge, as it is in sharing love. For love itself builds, it grows, it nurtures, it reflects God. The more we love, the more we reflect God. Jesus, in teaching his disciples, makes a difficult mandate for them. And that's also a difficult mandate for us. That mandate is to love our enemies. Loving our enemies is risky. How do we love someone who we don't trust? Jesus never told us that it would be easy, but his instruction is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So his instruction is clear. We are to love our enemies and do good to them. We are to be merciful as the Father is merciful. So what does this look like in our world today? Is it possible that the pandemic that infects our world would be different with love? My answer is yes. It would be different because we would treat people differently. Treating differently with love translates into doing things that brings healing to others instead of serving myself and in the process hurting others. Treating differently with love translates into looking at those who are different from me and seeing the gift that God has given them. Treating differently with love translates into a lifestyle where the words and the life of Christ guide us daily and enable us to truly love. I recently read an article that was discussing the definition of love. The source that they went to discuss love was different than what you might normally see. For the authorities in this article, the authorities were children. A man was suffering from the great loss of his wife of many years. In his grief, he was sitting on his front porch crying. His neighbors saw him crying and took action. He walked over to the neighbor's house and climbed up on his lap. And he sat there. The mother of this 4-year-old boy asked him what he said to the neighbor. The boy said he didn't say anything. He just sat there. He made himself available to his neighbor during his time of grief. He loved him. God bless you.